Hi, my name is Archie. I'm a rising junior at the Trevor Day School, and for my main project, I built a Connect 4 game using NeoPixels, an Arduino, breadboard, some tact switches, wires, and a battery pack. So basically, it's just like Connect 4, except it's like digital, and you use these three buttons here to move the like LED chip, I guess, left and right. Yeah, and then the middle button, if you press that, it like drops it, right? And so it's a pretty standard Connect 4 game. Has all the rules of a Connect 4 game, like you get 4 in a row, it flashes, and then everything drops, and then I think the loser of the match starts again. Yeah, and so basically it was a process building the game. I found it on a post on instructable circuits. Yeah, and so I got the NeoPixel board. I connected the 5-volt wire to the 5-volt pin, and then the ground wire to the ground pin, and the input pin to the 8th pin on the Arduino to kind of give it, the circuit and everything. The Arduino, of course, is where I would plug it into my computer and upload the code to it, so it kind of like just tells the game like what to do and stuff. The breadboard here has a bunch of buttons, or as they're like more commonly known as like tact switches, which like complete a circuit. And then whenever they're pressed, and when they do that, then they send like information to the Arduino saying like, hey, that button was pressed. Battery pack, and it gives the game power without having to plug it into my computer. My first milestone was to basically set up the game, download the code to my Arduino, and make sure that it gets up and running. What I learned a bunch. I learned about breadboards, I learned about tact switch circuits, learned to never plug in two power sources to your Arduino because it will fry and you have to get a new one. I learned that there are different models of NeoPixel boards, and that is also like relevant to how like people like code their games. And I'll get into that a bit more in the problems section. So I did actually have a couple of issues when I was building this. For example, actually when I was trying to film my last video, the wires on the back became like unsoldered, like they just like ripped off, so I had to resolder them back in, and I added some like extension wires as well by like soldering and taping them. I had some issues with the breadboard, like the buttons weren't like fully pressed in, and then I didn't know if like the circuit was being completed and was sending the proper input to the Arduino. There was a whole issue with like the pins, like which exact pins I should input the wires into the Arduino. As you probably could see, that it's plugged in the DIN wire from the NeoPixel board is plugged into the 8th one, and then the 3 buttons are plugged into the 9, 10, and 11, and that's where they send pin, and that's where they send their information to. I learned a lot about circuits and about NeoPixel boards. I also learned that each LED has like a specific pin value, and that based on the code, I had to, with an instructor's help, I had to like modify the code so that that the chips like fell like vertically down, opposed to what they used to be doing, which was like falling and then like going like a zigzag pattern, and then it was like the vertical matching was all screwed up. I guess my next step would be to, my next milestone will be to build like a frame for my game, and kind of like have like the buttons in the front, and then the NeoPixel board, and then the Arduino and the battery pack in the back of like a board, and hopefully just get it to stay up by itself. And I think that will be it.